The Hardys versus the Young Bucks. One side features one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling, who inspired an entire generation of wrestlers with their innovative and high-risk style, and the other features another all-time tag team who dominated the landscape outside of WWE in a time period where not many did, and would even go on to change the world in their own right with the formation of one of the biggest professional wrestling companies on the planet. They would face each other multiple times throughout various promotions in the 2010s, but their most notable encounters took place for Ring of Honor back in 2017 in what were dream matches to most, and served as a showcase to both the past and present of tag team wrestling. And that is what we will be discussing in today's video. If you do enjoy this video and you want to see more videos about all the random and cool stuff that comes from pro wrestling, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. With that being said, let's get right into it. I think we know enough about both of these teams, but I'll still do a quick rundown. I want to try to keep it brief as we're covering two matches today. Meet the Hardys. Consisting of brothers Matt and Jeff, they are one of the most well-known and decorated tag teams in all of pro wrestling, winning 23 total tag titles across many different promotions, from independents like House of Glory and the International Wrestling Cartel, as well as many times across WWE, TNA, and the promotion we're covering today, Ring of Honor. Before their stop in ROH, they frequently appeared for TNA throughout much of the 2010s, and both Matt and Jeff would go on to win multiple world titles for the company. Following Matt's run as champion, he went on to reinvent himself with a character you guys might have seen a thing or two back in the day. It was something involving a universe being broken or something like that. In all seriousness, Broken Matt Hardy was one of the most popular acts in all of wrestling during this period, which really carried a lot of weight as it was happening in what was believed to be a sinking ship in TNA. Throughout the duration of the story, brother Jeff would join on and adopt the name Brother Nero, a play on his middle name. This was a rather refreshing run because while Matt was always a prevalent and reliable singles act when not tagging with his brother, Jeff was always the bigger star of the team, and he, as a singles act, is one of the most popular wrestlers of all time. In this run, Matt got to shine himself and showcase his creativity with his incredible character work, and both men pioneered a genre of wrestling known as cinematic wrestling that many have since tried to replicate to varying results. Fans of modern pro wrestling yearn for cinema on their weekly TV shows, but what we got from the Broken Hardys on a near weekly basis is about the closest you can get to cinema in this industry. In 2016, the Broken Hardys became TNA World Tag Team Champions for only the second time, and following this win, they would go on an expedition of gold, where they would travel to various independent promotions such as All-Star Wrestling, Maryland Championship Wrestling, and even their own Omega Championship Wrestling to win their tag titles. During their quest, they made a stop at Ring of Honor to gain even more gold, held by this team. Meet the Young Bucks. Consisting of brothers Matt and Nick, they are also one of the most well-known and decorated teams of all time, as well as one of the most polarizing. If you ask a wrestling fan how they feel about the Young Bucks, it's a 50-50 chance that they'll either praise them and acknowledge all that they brought to the industry, or they'll completely shit all over them in their body of work while talking about how they killed the business, pun intended. They've been a part of some of the biggest moments in the history of independent wrestling and were instrumental in the growth and foundation of multiple companies, including, but not limited to, All Elite Wrestling, where they are currently executive vice presidents, as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling, where they had a heavy hand in extending New Japan's reach into the US market, in part thanks to their involvement with the ever-popular Bullet Club, as well as their sub-faction, the Elite. There's genuinely so much that they've been involved in that if I sat here and listed everything right now, we'd be here for about an hour, so let's just move on. Throughout their 20-year run as a team, they have had an astonishing 37 tag title reigns, extending across the independents with their work primarily in promotions such as Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, House of Glory, Dragon Gate USA, and Chikara, among many others, as well as winning gold in promotions with a more worldwide reach like New Japan Pro Wrestling, where they are 7-time junior heavyweight tag team champions, the most in the history of that title, on top of 2 reigns as heavyweight tag champions, as well as All Elite Wrestling, where they are the only 3-time tag team champions in the company's history as of this recording, and their 3 tag title reigns in Ring of Honor, where they are one of only 4 teams to have held the titles 3 times or more. In September of 2016, the Bucks would begin their second reign as ROH tag champions, defeating the Motor City Machine Guns and the Addiction at All-Star Extravaganza 8. Throughout their 155-day reign, they defended the titles against the likes of the aforementioned Addiction and the Briscoes, with the latter being a successful defense at Ring of Honor's Final Battle event on December 2nd, 2016. It was after this match that something occurred that would not only shake the foundation of Ring of Honor, but of professional wrestling as a whole.
Those of you, dear boys, that was quite the intoxicating matchup you just participated in. I don't know if you've known this, but myself and Brother Nero have been mandated to prove we are the greatest tag team in all of time and all of space. And that means we must come to ROH and render you ramshackle rednecks and you smut monkeys obsolete. But we warn both of you, if myself and Brother Nero come to the honorable ring, we will delete your tag team title reign. Delete, 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 delete. Are you kidding me?
You are not delusional. You just saw Broken Matt Hardy, one half of the then TNA World Tag Team Champions, appear live at a Ring of Honor pay-per-view in 2016. Nowadays, something like this is relatively common, as we've seen Kenny Omega appear on Impact as AEW's World Champion, or Jordan Grace showing up on NXT as TNA's Knockouts Champion. But in 2016, this was very uncommon and almost unheard of for a champion of one of the biggest promotions in the country to appear on another national promotion's programming. The definition of opening the forbidden door. Anyways, this happens and nothing comes of it for a little while until the Manhattan Mayhem event on March 4th, 2017, and funny enough, the date of which this video is being written is March 4th, so happy 8th anniversary somewhat. The Bucks had just successfully defended the Ring of Honor tag titles against a very young team of Jay White and Lio Rush, and were celebrating their win until the lights went out yet again. When the lights turned back on, we had Broken Matt and Brother Nero, still recognized as the TNA World Tag Team Champions by this point, in the middle of the ring, standing across the Bucks of Youth, as Matt so eloquently described them. In their promo, they challenged the Bucks for an ROH tag title match right then and there, to which the Bucks almost immediately accepted. And with that, the match was on. I could not find better footage, so I'm using a video I found using fan cam footage uploaded by CZW's ring announcer Larry Legend of all people. Shout out to him, by the way, he fucking rules. And with that out of the way, let's finally get into the match. The bell rings and dueling chants of "suck it" and "delete" run rampant across the Hammerstein ballroom by both the fans as well as the competitors. Immediately, Jeff Hardy and Nick Jackson take the fight to the outside of the ring, where Jeff dives onto Nick from the apron to temporarily take him out of the match. Jeff makes his way back into the ring to help Matt against Matt Jackson, which they do in trademark Hardy fashion. Jeff goes for the pin but only gets a 2 count. Jeff hits a snapmare on Jackson into the dropkick before going back to the pin for yet another 2 count. Jeff tags Matt back in and the two hit their signature poetry in motion on Matt Jackson. They go for the pin once again and once again gets the 2. Broken Matt is on his feet and gets Jackson into the corner, where he repeatedly smashes his head into both the top and middle turnbuckles while the crowd chant "delete" in unison. Matt then whips Jackson into the corner and goes for a clothesline, but Jackson counters, goes to the middle rope, but Matt is able to get him, attempts a razor's edge, but is super kicked by Nick for his troubles. Both Matts tag in their brothers, where Nick goes for repeated jabs to Jeff while telling him to suck it, whips Jeff into the ropes, but Jeff reacts with a diving forearm into Nick, taking him down. Jeff attempts to whip Nick into the corner, but Nick reverses, sends Jeff into the corner, but Nick eats a head scissors for his efforts. Nick recovers quickly enough and hits a nasty super kick to Jeff. Dazed, Nick tags Matt back in as the fans in attendance are chanting, "This is awesome." The Bucks whip Jeff into the corner, but Jeff fends him off and nails him with a whisper in the wind, taking off both brothers and himself in the process. Matt enters the ring and both Hardys hit repeated chops to the Bucks while a delete chant is breaking out after each one. The Hardys whip the Bucks into each other, but their momentum swung around and right into delivering super kicks to both Matt and Jeff. Both Matt and Nick go into their respective corners and hit dueling 450 splashes, and both go for the cover to only get a 2. While Matt rolls out of the ring, the Bucks attempt a double clothesline onto Jeff, but Jeff responds with a clothesline of his own. Jeff fights off the Bucks and tags in Matt, who unleashes a fury of strikes onto Matt Jackson and even a bite to the forehead. Matt grabs Jackson and proceeds to hit a side effect before calling for the end of the match. He sees Nick on the top rope and immediately goes to fight him off, attempting a superplex but gets denied. Matt has broken Matt in a powerbomb position and delivers a buckle bomb, while Nick hits him with a kick to the back of the head. Jeff comes in and tries to gain some momentum back, but is met with a super kick to the mouth. The Bucks have the opening needed, deliver a twist of fate onto Broken Matt, and Nick hits him with a swanton. They go for the cover, but it gets broken up by Jeff. The Bucks try to set up for more bang for your buck, but Matt is able to fight out of it, while Jeff sends Nick off the top and through the table, effectively killing Nick for the remainder of this match. The camera doesn't show it, but Matt hits a twist of fate while it pans to Jeff hitting a swanton bomb to get the 3 count and become the brand new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion. For the first and only time, the TNA and Ring of Honor tag titles were held simultaneously by none other than Broken Matt and Jeff Brother Nero Hardy. For this being an 8-minute match, it was really fun. The crowd was eating out of the palm of their hands the entire time, and the action was non-stop from both teams. Although obviously slower due to their age and how much damage their bodies have taken taken throughout the years, the Hardys are still a solid team in 2017 with a decent amount of mileage left in the tank. Credit where credit is due as well, the Bucks are essentially pulling double duty on this night after just competing in a match not too long before this one. Both teams showed up, showed out, and showed only a taste of what they could do together. This was far from their first time competing against one another, but it was likely the first time that a lot of people got to see these two teams in action. The one thing I have not mentioned up to this point in time was that both Matt and Jeff's contracts with TNA were up on February 27th, 6 days before their return to Ring of Honor. Contract negotiations ultimately fell through and their time with the company was done with. Despite this, TNA already had weeks worth of content filmed with the Hardys and therefore were still recognized by the company as the tag team champions despite no longer being in the company and without a solid backup plan at that point in time. It has been stated that the Hardys offered to drop the titles at the next set of tapings for the company, but TNA's parent company, Anthem Sports and Entertainment, said no to this and instead just let the old content they aired drop accordingly. Smart plan. The titles were officially stripped at the next set of tapings and the titles were eventually won by the new LAX consisting of newcomers Mike Santana and Ortiz. In the midst of all this and a very public bashing by Matt's wife Rebby, which included a ton of nonsense including her dropping a shirt mocking Anthem's owl logo as well as Impact Wrestling's new logo, Anthem filed a cease and desist against ROH, prohibiting them from even acknowledging that the broken character is a thing. This led to a very lengthy court proceeding, and Matt eventually did get the gimmick back, but going forward, they will just be referred to as the Hardys, and there will be no acknowledgement of the broken universe in Ring of Honor. After a couple of defenses, a successful defense at Ring of Honor's 15th anniversary show against the Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice, and a defense against the Briscoes at the TV tapings the night after, the Hardys were then slated to defend the titles in a rematch against the Young Bucks at the Supercard of Honor 11 event on April 1st, 2017 at the Lakeland Center. This time would be in a ladder war. Ladder war is essentially a ladder match, but Ring of Honor doesn't have them as often as other promotions, so it feels a little more special. This was the 7th ladder war in company history. The quality of this match that I found isn't the absolute best, but I do feel like it gets the job done. I think this is everything we need to know going into the match, so let's get right into it. Both teams make their entrances. Ring announcer Bobby Cruz does their introductions. They hang the belts as the red hot crowd in Lakeland chant, "Fuck that owl."
When the Young Bucks said let's up the stakes and let us get an opportunity to regain those titles in a ladder match,
and the match begins. The Bucks walk up to the Hardys and tell them to suck it in an attempt to goad them into doing the delete chant, but to no avail, and they begin swinging at each other. Both teams spend the opening minutes trying to gain control of one another, with the Hardys getting the upper hand early on, delivering multiple trademark moves onto both Nick and Matt, and while they attempt a poetry in motion onto Nick, Jeff gets a mid-air super kick for his efforts. Nick then goes for a super kick onto Matt, but is reversed and accidentally hits a roundhouse onto his brother. Hardy brings Nick into the corner where he bites him, hits a clothesline into the corner, and goes for his signature bulldog, but Matt Jackson gets him with a super kick before he hits the move. The Bucks prop Matt into the middle turnbuckle, turn their attention briefly onto Jeff, hitting a bridging double foot stomp before Nick rolls right into the backstabber onto Matt. The Bucks bring both Hardys into the corner and attempt to whip them into each other, but there's a reversal. The Bucks try to run the spot back from Manhattan Mayhem, but are countered into dueling twists of fates by Matt and Jeff. Matt signals to Jeff that they should grab a ladder and try to go for the win. They grab a ladder from underneath the ring, but the Bucks catch them with a baseball slide into that ladder. The Bucks deliver some tandem offense of their own, rally up the crowd in a slight tribute to Bullet Club leader Kenny Omega, and both hit suicide dives onto the Hardys. They bring in two ladders, one being comically taller than the other, but the Hardys re-enter the ring and put a stop to the Young Bucks' ascension relatively quickly. They take turns setting both Matt and Nick Jackson into the corner, where they prop the smaller ladder and deliver a double DDT onto Nick. The Hardys set up the big ladder and they try to climb, but Jackson puts a stop to it. Matt sends Jackson over the top rope, but Jackson lands on the apron before Jeff hits him with a ladder and sends Matt crashing through a nearby table. Following this, Matt Hardy drags Nick into the ring as the Hardys set up the ladders in such a way that Joey Mercury is somewhere watching, cringing at the thought of it. Nick fights them off and Matt re-enters the ring in an attempt at a double superplex onto Jeff. Matt Hardy gets Nick Jackson in position and connects with a crucifix sit-out powerbomb while Nick and Jeff fight on the top rope. Eventually, Jeff fights him off and sends him crotch first into the top rope. Matt goes outside of the ring and sets up a couple of tables as the Hardys attempt a double suplex onto Matt Jackson before he inevitably fights him off. The Jacksons regain the composure. Jeff goes for a twist of fate onto Matt, but gets shoved into the corner, tries to pop out of it, and gets met with a super kick by Matt to the chin. Matt props Jeff at the end of the ladder contraption, and Nick delivers a facebuster onto the ladder, therefore ricocheting it into Jeff's face as Nick rolls out to the apron and hits a standing moonsault onto Matt to the outside. Matt Jackson sets Jeff up on a table outside of the ring, and Nick delivers a gnarly 450 splash to Jeff through the table. Matt gets in the ring and sets up that tall ladder in an attempt to end the match, but Matt Hardy recovers and makes his way up to the other side. He fights the other Matt Matt off of the ladder, but is pulled down by Nick and hit with a buckle bomb kick combo. One of the Bucks prop up a ladder in the middle of the rope, place a fallen Matt Hardy onto it, has something dangerous in mind, but Jeff provides enough of an opening to avoid it altogether, despite eating another super kick. Matt throws Nick off of the top rope and Jeff is back in the ring. The Hardys set Nick Jackson up and deliver a nasty wheelbarrow move that goes completely through that ladder. Matt Hardy is going for the win as Jeff plays guard, but Matt Jackson re-enters the ring with a ladder and drives it into the midsection of Matt. Jeff is on the apron when Matt dives over and hits a DDT onto the apron. With Matt falling to the floor, the Bucks recover, set up a table on the outside, lay Jeff onto it with a super kick from Matt, enters the ring, but quickly aborts as he realizes he has a chance to win the match. Matt Jackson climbs up the ladder only to be stopped by Matt Hardy, who hits a back suplex of his own. Nick Jackson sets up a smaller ladder, tries to climb it, but Matt puts a stop to it, pushing that ladder to the side. Nick aborts and gets to the bigger ladder, which also falls, and Nick does a somersault onto Jeff through the table. Matt tries to take this moment to capitalize, but Matt Jackson makes his way to the top of the ladder. Both men fight with the crowd chanting delete and suck it after each punch before momentum takes both men off the ladders and down to the mat. Both recover, they fight over the placement of the smaller ladder, and Nick and Jeff have both recovered as all four men climb both ladders. Both Matts on one, Nick and Jeff on the other. Matt Hardy eventually gets knocked off of the ladder, falling into the smaller one and knocking Nick out of the ring as Jeff is able to jump onto the other ladder. Jeff and Matt Jackson are exchanging blows at the top of the ladder with the crowd chants continuing as this is all going down. Nick re-enters the ring and successfully pulls Jeff down. Jeff goes for a twist of fate but is reversed and both men take each other out with clotheslines. Matt Hardy tries to take the other Matt down by biting his ankles, but Matt is able to fend him off, not for long enough though, as Matt quickly recovers and sends Jackson through another stack of tables at ringside. All men at this point in time are down. Matt Hardy recovers and makes his way up, but Nick Jackson springboards onto the ladder and fights Hardy off. Jeff comes back into the ring and pulls Nick down as both Hardys stomp a mud hole into Nick. The Hardys have something devious planned for Nick, but he is able to fight them off long enough for Matt to come back into the ring. Jeff attempts to whisper in the wind, but the Jacksons catch him in a midair super kick. The Bucks nail Matt with the super kick, but Matt rebounds off the ropes and delivers a double clothesline, and all four men are down yet again. The Bucks and Matt slowly make their way back to their feet. Matt Jackson runs into Matt Hardy, but Hardy delivers a back body drop to Jackson through the table. Jeff runs into Nick, but Nick delivers the same move onto Jeff as the camera struggles to catch it. Nick then runs into Matt on the apron, but Matt catches, hits Nick with a side effect, it was actually more of a Uranagi, and crashes through even more tables. Fucking insane match, my word. All men struggle to make their way back into the ring, set up two ladders yet again, and both teams slowly make the climb one last time. The Bucks on one ladder, the Hardys on the other. They fight on opposite sides before the Bucks deliver the killing blow. A super kick to both Matt and Jeff as they make their way to the top rung and unhook the titles, winning Ladder War and beginning their third reign as Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. This match was an absolute spectacle to say the least. There are very few obtainable dream matches in the world of professional wrestling nowadays, so the fact that something of this magnitude happened for the largest in-person attendance that Ring of Honor had at this point in time created an insane atmosphere unmatched by nearly any other environment of its time. A lot of people say that the Hardys were washed up as of the past 10 years, but I feel like this match, as well as the Manhattan Mayhem match, kind of take credence away from those claims. I feel like the Bucks are also pretty quality partners to bring to the dance, so it is truly a balanced effort, but the only decline about the Hardys the past decade, especially Matt, is their overall quickness. That's a given though, considering they've been wrestling for nearly 25 years at this point, as well as the crazy style they've been working for the longest. For fuck's sake, if you've done bumps as consistently as Jeff jumping off of the impact zone versus Abyss, or Matt risking going into the iron butt to kill Edge from the top of the cage, you wouldn't move the same either. This match was very much on brand for what the sport was in 2017, and I don't say that in a derogatory way either. Whether you do or don't dislike the Young Bucks, it's almost impossible to deny that they're one of the most innovative tag teams in history, and you can easily tell who influenced them, especially in this match while putting on their own spin. It was a great effort by both teams, and a really fun period of time to see the Hardys doing their thing in the late 2010s portion of ROH. I kind of forgot that Anthem went nuts and were filing C&Ds for the broken gimmick, and it's also kind of funny how every fan base immediately turned on Anthem and Impact for that nonsense. That reminds me, the Hardys' deal with Ring of Honor expired that night, and they made their return to WWE at WrestleMania 33 and won the tag titles for the first time in about 10 years. I'm pretty sure also that they're the first and only team to hold the WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor tag titles within a 30-day period. The next night, WWE held Raw in Orlando at the Amway Center with the Hardy Boys defending the titles against the Good Brothers. I went to that Raw and there were a ton of different random chants, but I remember one specific chant that rang throughout that arena.
Prized it all. Expert tag team work.
The Hardys been very excited about coming back.
In 2025, both teams are doing their thing and killing it across the entire landscape of pro wrestling. The Hardys are currently tag champions in TNA once again and are even appearing on WWE programming a little bit more following the announcement of WWE and TNA's working relationship. The Bucks have obviously been instrumental into the growth of AEW and even won multiple tag titles across AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling since this match. The Bucks and the Hardys even had a few matches in AEW during 2022-2023. Truly a full circle moment. But yeah, that was the story of the Young Bucks versus the Hardys. What did you think? Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought about this video, as I look for all feedback, positive or negative. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, so you do not miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.